I think that this is not his first tour. This is the first campaign tour. After his elections, he was here to thank the delegates of their party for reposing confidence in him. This is the official campaign tour of the nation, and today is the 10th of the Upper East region. You can see for yourselves that young people, women and children, aged and young, have gathered here to give a mammoth reception to the incoming president of the Republic of Ghana by the grace of God. You can see the crowd, you can see the enthusiasm in the young people, you can see that everybody is happy to receive him in the Upper East region. Yes, we've had the first interaction with the clergymen and women. It was very fruitful. They admired the way he brought himself down. They admired the way he said that yes, there's a need for him to talk to his fathers, the clergymen and women, to seek the blessings of God and to ask them for their prayers and support as he embarks on this nationwide tour. So it was very wonderful. He was able to articulate what this government has done throughout the country and what he as vice president has contributed to the development of Ghana, and he was able to point at 33 main policies that he as vice president has helped to initiate in this country, and that has brought some relief to the people of this country. Same way when he met the imams, he told them how he started. It's been a mixed feeling between the Christian and the Muslim, because he's been part of the Muslim, he's been part of the Christian family, and they have received him and they promise that they are going to repose confidence in him. He's not been president, he's yet been vice president, a role that has not been subscribed in our constitution. Yes, he's been able to do a lot of things for our country. And Upper East region, I can point things he has done without missing words, the development that he has brought to bear on the people of Upper East region, and that has made these people, the people who have come here, to come to receive him and to assure him that will vote for him to become the next president of the Republic of Ghana.
Let's look at before his visit here. You mentioned that this is his first campaign tour of your region. Before his visit, as a party within the region, as a communications director for the NPP within the region, what has been your campaign strategy before even the vice president visit? Because if you look at previous period, some party officials or executives wait till their presidential candidate comes to their region before they begin the actual campaign season. What has been your plan, your campaign plan?
Unfortunately, I will not be able to divulge our strategy, our plan on air here. But I can tell you that we have been working behind the scenes. We have inaugurated the various constituency campaign teams. We have inaugurated the regional campaign team. We have gone ahead to train the agents towards the limited registration exercise, and we have been reconciling people who in one way or the other are aggrieved with one person or the other. The regional reconciliation team are almost done with their work, and the party is poised to commit and start the campaign without any challenges, because the first thing has to do with reconciliation, and we are almost done with the reconciliation. So the regional chairman, the regional minister, all regional executives and constituency executives, parliamentary candidates are all at the same wavelength, working hard to ensure that we clinch victory for the first time for Dr. Bawumia in this region.
One point is the party. If you look at your vote that you got in the 2020 elections, they were a depreciation of what you had in 2016. You lost 2 parliamentary seats in the region. As a director of communications within the party, what is your assessment of your chances, especially in the presidential and the parliamentary elections come to December 2025?
You will agree with me that any political party that seeks re-election always have their votes come down, right from 1992 to now. Any political party that counts for the second round always have their vote reduced. So that's why we are very much aware, and we have put workable strategy in place to ensure that we do not decline our votes. If you look at how we have selected our parliamentary candidates, very reliable, very competent, down to earth with the people that have been working day and night trying to support the various constituencies, and that speaks volumes, and that gives a clearer indication that our parliamentary number is going to increase. Indeed, we lost 2 other votes seats in this region, but I can tell you that this party, we have won over 8 constituencies before. We have won Nabdam before, we have won Bawku Central before, we have won Paga before, we have won Talisi before, and we have won several other constituencies. So our candidates don't sleep. They are working, making everything possible, working around the clock, meeting the people who matter, the influential people and the delegates and the party people, to ensure that this time round we increase our parliamentary seat from single one to about 7 seats in this region. So
finally, before you leave, let's look at the limited voter registration that is ongoing within the region. What has been your assessment? We've had complaints in other regions and in other places of violence and busing of people to, and even underaged people to go and register. What has been your assessment in the Upper East region?
The NDC is crying foul for nothing. They are crying foul for nothing. Even the first day of registration, the NDC started calling for extension. I don't get them. Just 1 day out of 21 days, they started calling for extension. It means that the NDC is not prepared. We are prepared, we are grounded, and we are ready to ensure we bring legitimate and qualified people to register. We have gone around all the registration centers. We have seen that our agents are doing well, our party is doing well. Whoever is qualified will bring the person to come and register. Issues of violence is the NDC. They like violence. They have told us in time past that their history is grounded on violence. And if you listen to Mohammed's book, he tells us that he is the chief of violence. So we are not bothered about that. We are following the due process to ensure that people who are qualified and people who want to register and vote have the opportunity to register and vote come December 7th. So we are not worried about that. Violence is not the way to go. What we need to do is to preach peace, and that is what the NPP is leading in this charge.
I know I mentioned that was my last question before you go, but finally, let's look at what are some developmental challenges within the Upper East region, or even Bogatanga, that community members who want the vice president and flag bearer of your party to touch on and solve for them before even the December 7th election?
Rather, I want to talk about the achievements. I want to talk about what we have done.
But we can also mention some of the challenges. It's not bad to talk about the challenges.
In every economy, every state is being challenged. I know that as a matter of fact. But I want to tout what we have done in this region that is making the people to want to vote for the NPP. And I can mention the 28 million euros project, water project that was started by Kufuor and ended and handed over by Kufuor, is providing 4.5 million gallons of water in this region.
But notwithstanding that, there are still challenges facing the Upper East region. Some projects even are stalled within the Upper East region, like the Bawku multi-purpose dam is still stalled. That project, I think, was awarded. The contract was awarded somewhere 2018. The president mentioned it in the State of the Nation address that they will build the dam before he leaves power. He's leaving power 6 to 7 months before he leaves. The dam is still not completed. There are other challenges within the Upper East region, unemployment and any other challenges. What do you think that the vice president, who is your flag bearer, seeking election to become the president of this country, having served as vice president for the past 7 years, should touch on, so that the people of Upper East region would have confidence in him?
I believe that the people of the Upper East region already have confidence in him. They believe in him, and they believe the fact that he will deliver. In fact, if we touch on the Bawku multipurpose dam, regrettably we have not been able to complete it. We have not gotten to where we want to go, and we all admit the challenges that our countries face today. When we started, we had said that we are going to complete it before the next elections. Unfortunately, we are hit globally, and that is the point the NDC people are failing to understand. Anytime they go outside of this country, that admit that COVID is a problem, that admit that Russia-Ukraine war is a problem. And I listened to the UK Prime Minister just last week. He admitted that the major challenge facing Europe and the UK today has to do with COVID-19. So we admit that that has been a problem. But today, the Vice President mentioned during his interaction with the clergymen that his eyes, his ears, his legs, his policy direction is on the Bawku multipurpose dam, and he said that he will do everything possible to ensure that the 3 northern regions indeed benefit from the Bawku multipurpose dam. I've heard some of our friends say that no work has been done. I've read the VRA report for 2020, their progress report, I've cited a lot of work that has been carried on. Yes, indeed, we have not gotten to where we want to get to. Inshallah, I know that when he's given the opportunity as the next president of the Republic of Ghana, he's going to deliver the quality multi-purpose dam for the people of the 5 northern regions.
All right, thank you, sir. So that is the communications director for the New Patriotic Party within the Upper East region, and Epiphania, he's been saying that the chances of the New Patriotic Party are high, and he has been eulogizing the vice president, who he believes that has a bigger chance of winning the New Patriotic Party with winning the presidential election for the New Patriotic Party within the Upper East region. Remember that the NPP has never won the presidential election within this region. They have never won the parliamentary elections within this region. But he says that this time around, they are keen and confident, optimistic of their chances within the Upper East region. So Epiphania, if you can hear me, the euphoria here is high. You can hear, if you can hear the sound behind me, those are some women from the New Patriotic Party singing and dancing as they wait for the vice president to engage with the regional House of Chiefs. The vice president is already seated and he's with the regional House of Chiefs to engage with them. Epiphania.
So much, Samuel. We'll definitely come back, and when the vice president begins addressing the house, we'll bring you the feed from there. Now, earlier today, he met with the clergy, and some of the key things, one of the key things he did was to clarify, because the statement he made about paying churches, and this was misinterpreted and really was like it spread wildfire across social media. But he actually clarified that comment when he was addressing the clergy and said that he didn't say the churches should be paid. What he meant was that he was going to incentivize them, such as, take scrap taxes. Churches should not be allowed to pay taxes, because he believes that they are key partners when it comes to developing the country. And this is a clarification he gave, because this actually received quite the backlash when he made the statement, and he had to come out and say it was a joke. So that was one of the key things he spoke about. And then also some of the clergy members raised issues of concerns regarding security, especially in Bawku, which he said he was going to address. He also mentioned agriculture. He mentioned blockchain. His fight against corruption. He also mentioned how he's been able to help take out ghost names from the National Service Scheme, and how that has saved the nation 300 million Ghana cedi, and also how to take some of the ghost names, how he took some of the ghost names out of the SNIT, and that also saved the country 400 million Ghana cedi. Now, that's just a recap of some of the key things he mentioned when he addressed the clergy earlier this morning at Bolgatanga. Now, before we go, I want us to look at some info analytics. One thing we realized with the parting of his strategy in this campaign is the fact that anytime he goes to a new region, the flag bearer actually meets with the clergy, then he meets with the imams. Is there reason behind this? Is there something behind this? But recently, in a post that was actually shared by Global Info Analytics, there are some numbers that seem to point towards a certain direction on how much influence religion actually is going to have on the 2024 election. So I want us to actually go straight into that. And you can see that we'll go straight to the auditorium, because the vice president is currently in the auditorium as he's about to address the House of Chiefs. But taking a look at this, you realize that we're going to look at how likely religion is going to influence the candidate. But before we bring you to that, let's go take a look at the auditorium.
Affairs, the regional minister, the delegation who accompanied me here, the regional chairman is here, and the vice chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Madam Talata Rita Asobayere, is also here. I would like to thank all of you for this very warm welcome that you have provided to me and my delegation, and also continue to apologize for keeping you waiting. I heard you were here very early and we were delayed. So we continue to extend our apologies. I am happy to be here because I have come home, and I have come as your son to tell you that I have started my campaign to be the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party to be the President of the Republic of Ghana. As you know, we all pray to God for God to select us as leaders, because we know that God selects leaders. I have come here in my capacity, as I said, as Vice President, and also as leader of the New Patriotic Party and presidential candidate. Standing here, I can only thank God for what He has done, because if you look at how I have come all the way to this particular position, I can only give it to God. Growing up, I've been a by-day farmer before. I've been a taxi driver in London before. I've been a cleaner of dormitories in Canada before. But by the grace of God, I'm here as Vice President of the Republic and aspiring President. So I thank God for all of this. As you all know, I contested to be flag bearer of the NPP. At that point in time, there was a lot of doubt in the minds of our people at home. And I'm sure you were all part of that doubt to say whether the NPP will indeed elect me to be leader of the party. Because historically, our party has never selected anybody from the north to be leader of the party. And so there was a big question about whether I would be elected to be the leader of the party. But I was very clear in my own mind that given the work that I had done, and by the grace of God, I thought if God wills it, then I will be elected as the leader of the party. And so it turned out to be that in the NPP, we made history. We've made history to elect somebody from the north for the first time to be the leader of the party. And I am very, very thankful to all of you for your prayers and your support in this endeavor, on this journey that I had embarked on, because it was not an easy journey. Now that I've been elected as the presidential candidate, I have started my tour of the country to listen to our people and also to speak to our people. I have not yet outdoored my manifesto, and so part of this listening also informs me about some of the critical issues that are faced in various regions. And so I am in a position, when we finish all of this, to then outdoor a manifesto that reflects the people's wishes. I am seeking to be president of this country to be able to serve this country. I am looking for an opportunity to bring various ideas that I have and my work ethic and my determination and my hard work to help lift up this country, to help lift up the lot of the poor in this country, so that we can move this country to a different level. When you look at what our government has done in the last 8 years, it has been very significant, notwithstanding the global challenges that we have faced as a country. Our government has implemented some very important policies that will help us as we go forward. The free senior high school policy is one such policy that we implemented, and that is to afford the opportunity for parents who could not finance the education of their children to have them go to school. And that policy has been a success by any metric you look at. The number of children who have gone to school in the country has increased from 800,000 to 1.4 million children. From independence to 2016, that is about 60 years almost. Ghana's senior high school population was 800,000 after 60 years. But after just 7 years, we have moved it from 800,000 to 1.4 million. And that has been a very big increase. But what is remarkable about that increase is that the enrollment in the senior high schools that we are seeing, the leading regions that have enrolling senior high school students are the 5 northern regions. We are the highest in enrollment in senior high schools. And the Upper East region is either number 1 or number 2 on that list. Very, very high enrollment that we are seeing. And we are also seeing more girls than boys enrolling. Because before, for every 100 boys, we had 68 girls in 2016. Today, for every 100 boys, we have 106 girls. So the gender parity has been achieved. And this is only going to help us. And the performance of the children in school is also improving and improving very well. So in the area of education, we have done quite a bit. We have invested massively in technical and vocational education. 6 billion cedis investment in the last 7 years, the highest for any government. We have also made vocational education TVET free in this country. And that has increased the number of students from 60,000 to 159,000 enrolled in the technical and vocational education. What I want us to do is to have more emphasis on the basic education now as we go forward to really push up the basic education as well to support what we are doing in tertiary education. Recently, we have started distributing tablets to all the senior high school students so that they have all the educational materials they need on these tablets or laptops that they have. And this is something that we are going to do. We have also done a lot in the area of healthcare in this country. We are pushing to have, as we are pushing to make sure that every district in this country has a hospital. And this is the Agenda 111 project. The Upper East has about 7 of these projects, if my memory serves me right. And these are all ongoing, and we expect some of them to be completed this year and others to be completed next year. And this will give every district a hospital. But in other places, we are across the country. We have 111 of these projects that are taking place. If you look at Upper East region in particular, you will see that the total number of projects that we have completed so far as a government in the Upper East region completed is 631 projects that we've completed in the Upper East region, and 302 are ongoing. And as I said, in the health sector, we have 7 health centers that we have completed, and 38 CHIPS compounds have also been completed. In the health sector, we've done 1 constituency, 1 ambulance, and we have also digitalized the hospitals across the country, all the teaching hospitals, all the district hospitals, all the regional hospitals have been digitalized. So today, if they refer you from, Navrongo or Bawku or Tempane to Kolebu, you don't need to take your folder anymore, because all your data has been digitalized in the computer. When you get to Kolebu, all you do is give them your ID number. They'll put it in there, and all your history will appear on the computer, and you will have no problems going forward. And we hope that by next year we'll cover every hospital, CHIPS compounds, every health center, and everybody's data will be available in so doing. We've built 110 classroom blocks in the Upper East region, 2 courts, 58 boreholes. We've got water systems, and also we have water systems of 43, small dams, 118 small dams, 7 police stations, and you are seeing that there's so much in the area of development. As I said, 638 projects 631 projects have been completed. So in terms of development, we've done a lot, but I understand that the regional hospital also needs a lot of work for us to do to upgrade the regional hospital, and I think that is something that I'm going to be paying attention to upgrade the regional hospital. The issue about the airport, I think the President of the House of Chiefs mentioned the issue about the airport, and I am very happy to let you know that we have also started discussions in government about the airport. And so when the discussions concretize, we will be making a formal announcement on it. But I think that we also see it as a very important piece of infrastructure that will help open up the region and develop the region. So we are very, very, we are in discussions. These discussions are taking place between the Ministry of Transport as well as the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. And I'm following it very, very closely. So we hope that we are going to do so. I, as Vice President, have also initiated many policies, as the President of the House of Chiefs have said, that in my capacity, in my limited role as Vice President, as your son, I've been able to initiate over 30 policies or champion over 30 policies since we came into government. If you look at policies such as issuance of the Ghana card, you look at policies like the digital address system in Ghana, mobile money interoperability. Today, you can send Momo between 2 different telcos and also between your bank account and your Momo account. That type of interoperability, they don't even have it in America. We are the first country in Africa to have that type of interoperability. Today, I have been able to bring drones into Ghana, medical drones. That drones are delivering medicines to remote areas to save lives every day. We have 6 medical drone centers in Ghana, and they are delivering medicines to 2,800 hospitals in Ghana every day, an average of 100 flights a day. And each of these flights sending blood, sending medicine, vaccines, and so on, anti-snake serum and all of that. And they are saving lives every day. The good thing for us is that the drone centers in Ghana are 100% manned by Ghanaians. Ghanaians are manning all the, and also Ghana now is the largest medical drone delivery service in the whole world. We are leading medical drone, the whole world. The whole world. Recently, the company in San Francisco came to Ghana to recruit somebody to go and lead operations in their factory in San Francisco. They took someone right from here and went back there because we have the most experience. So we are doing that. That is another policy that I brought about. I brought up about 1 constituency, 1 ambulance. I brought about Agenda 111. I brought about the gold for oil policy, the Zongo Development Fund, the Sino-Hydro-Bata Agreement, you know, digitalization of the ports, digitalization of the passport office, and so on. I've been doing a lot of work since I've become vice president. So I believe with your support that if I have been able to do all of this as vice president, then if you make me president, I'll be able to do much more. I have a vision for Ghana. I have a vision for transformation. But that vision is very much underpinned by a number of policies. The most important and the first key policy that I want, the change that I want in Ghana, is to refocus on agriculture. Agriculture is the key for our prosperity in Ghana. And as you know, for those of us who come from the north, we have the land, we have the water, and we are going to have to change our approach. We want to do large-scale commercial farming. We want to do irrigation. We want to apply technology to agriculture. That is the difference between what happens in the first world and what happens here. They are applying technology to agriculture, and I want us to do so. For me, one legacy I would like to leave as president is to construct the Bawku Dam, to make sure the Bawku multi-purpose dam is constructed, because that brings about 28,000 hectares into cultivation. It brings flood control as far as the Bagri Dam's spillage is concerned, and then also allows us to generate electricity from the hydro side. It is something that I believe we need a new approach to the financing, and we need to bring in the private sector to help us do the financing because of the burden that this will have on government. So I want to really pay a lot of attention to the Bawku Dam and see whether we can bring in the financing, and I'm sure we can, to do the Bawku Dam, and I can try to interest the World Bank and other institutions also to look at funding the Bawku Dam along with other investors who may be interested. So agric is a very, very major point for us. The second major reform I want to introduce is to review and enhance the role of the chiefs in our governance in Ghana. So therefore, I want us to review Section 63D of the Chieftaincy Act. One of the problems we have is that we have not empowered the chiefs, but the chiefs control the country. But if you don't empower the chiefs, how then do the chiefs help the government to govern the country? So I want us to empower the chiefs, and therefore the review of Section 63D of the Chieftaincy Act. In that process of empowering the chiefs, we have to relook at the payment of what my manifesto committee is calling living wages or living allowances to the chiefs. That the cases can be settled at the palaces. They don't have to go into the court system and burden the courts. So if we are going to rely on the chiefs to help us, then we have to financially also empower the palaces and to be able to do it. So that is another area I want us to do and to move forward in that. I also want to change the tax system in Ghana. I want us to move from our current system, which is very difficult to understand for a lot of our people, to a flat tax system. A flat tax says if it's 10%, it's 10%. It's like paying your tithe in church. Very simple, everybody will understand, and therefore you will have compliance. There's been a lot of back and forth between the GRA and many businesses as far as tax liabilities are concerned. So I want us to move to this flat tax system. So in 2025, I'm going to grant a tax amnesty to all businesses and to all individuals, and we will all start from ground zero going forward with the flat tax system. So we will all have that to do. Then I want to realign our import duty system as well. First of all, I want us to have clarity and predictability. So when you import something, you should know that this, I'm going to pay 10,000 or 20,000. It's not that when the thing arrives and then you bring in a new duty calculation. So we want predictability in the import duty. And so if you are bringing in spare parts and in a 40-foot container, then you will have a particular duty like 20,000 or 30,000. Then you know it is for a 40-foot container is 20,000. 20-foot container is 10,000. Simplicity, transparency, and predictability is what we are going to do. The other side of it is that currently a lot of goods are being smuggled towards through Lomé port to be smuggled into Ghana from Togo. So I am bringing in a new policy that Ghana's import duty will not be higher than Togo's import duty. Our import duty will not be higher than Togo's. It will be lower or the same. So once we do that, nobody will smuggle any goods from Togo into Ghana. They will all come through Ghana because there's no reason to go through Togo if the import duty is lower or the same. So this is another area that we want to help and change the way of doing things. Another area that we believe that Ghana should re-look at is the area of our natural resources. We are discovering more and more gold in the country. And in the Upper East region, we know the deposits are a lot of gold in our regions across the country. The gold belts from, all the way from Winneba Axim all the way to Laura Nangodi gold belts. There are massive deposits here that we are just discovering. But we want to make sure that the activities of Galamsey are properly regulated. And so I want us to re-look at a formalization of the small-scale mining regime so that, in fact, we can give them licenses, and the district mining committees, the chiefs will have to be part of the district mining committees in giving these licenses to the small-scale mining operators. Once we have discoveries, we can set up community mining schemes and empower the small-scale miners, have the Minerals Development Bank that I want to establish to provide them money for equipment, so that we can regulate the small-scale mining so that they can mine responsibly and in an environmentally sustainable way, so that we can all benefit from the resources that we are having in Ghana. Because otherwise, if we don't regulate it and formalize it, then it will be done in an illegal manner. And we will need the work of all the chiefs to help us to do this. At the end of the day, we want to be able to have jobs for our youth. The job creation agenda will be number one also on my list, that you need to create jobs. I said we will do agric. We want to also focus on tourism, the creative arts, sports, the pharmaceuticals, and also the digital economy. The youth are very averse with the digital economy. I want to train 1 million youth in ICT skills, 1 million, to be coders, software developers, engineers. And you don't need to have a degree to be trained to become a coder, software developer. You just need to be able to read and write. And we can train 1 million people, and someone will be sitting in Timpani and working for somebody in Australia or in Germany, but sitting right here in the Upper East region. They can earn money once they are part of the global digital economy. And that is what I am going to introduce. We'll train 1 million youth, and we will set up the factories, agro-processing and all of that to create jobs. We were going to focus on a lot of job creation for our youth, and that is going to be very, very important. So I thought I should come and share with you some of these ideas. This is not, of course, my entire manifesto, But I thought that I will come to you, my fathers and my mothers, in the Upper East Regional House of Chiefs, to present to you all of these thinkings that I have. On LGBTQ, let me make my position once again clear. LGBTQ is not part of our traditional values. We will not allow it. The Bible doesn't allow it, the Quran doesn't allow it, and we will not allow it in Ghana. It will not happen. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever, as far as I am concerned. We need to protect our values, we need to protect our traditions, and we need to protect our religious beliefs as well. And that matter is not for negotiation. We will not allow it. And I want to thank you, and I ask for your support and your prayers. I know that, as the President of the House said, without peace, we cannot develop. And so peace is very, very important. I know that in the region we have issues, especially in Bawku, that we have to deal with. It presents a threat to not only the Upper East region, but also the entire country. And this is why government is investing a lot of resources, in fact, a lot of resources to try to deal with the Bawku conflict. And it has to be dealt with from a law enforcement manner and as well as a peacemaking manner. And I think the combination of the two will be very, very important. And I'm very committed to continuing the process. The Asantene is very much involved with the eminent chiefs on this, the National Peace Council as well. Government has established in the region the 11th Mechanized Battalion as well as the 12th Mechanized Battalion. And we're trying to do a lot because lack of peace doesn't work for anybody. And I want to make sure we all work peacefully. Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much.
Better.
You hit me, you take it out. Wow.
Your Majesties, Your Excellency, the President of the House and his Vice will also want to make a presentation to our august guest. So, Thank you. So, per the program, even though we know certainly it's hard to press for time, maybe we want to open the distance for at least 3 suggestions and whatever to add to the Vice President's presentation. So, without much ado, first, Soko Tinaba.
Thank you, President, for allowing me to add. Your Excellency, I'm glad you heard. You said your visit is to listen and then come out with your final manifesto. One of my pleas to you, we always neglect the slave trading card. Majority of people in the diaspora think that the slaves started in Cape Coast. It started in the north. Picoro is a slave camp under Paga Traditional Authority. It was established in 1704 by one man, Bawku, not a Ghanaian. Our forefathers and mothers were forcibly taken by slave raiders. Notorious slave raiders such as Samori and Babachu and others raided them and camped there at Picoro. When you visit there and they narrate the story, you shed tears. There's a punishment rock, and any slave who misbehaved was changed and forced to sit on this rock, 10 punishment rock, with his or eyes open, facing the sun from sunrise to sunset. Majority of them became blind, and some died. 200-mile journey from there to Salaga. The slaves were shackled and forced to make a tortuous 200-mile journey from Picoro to Salaga slave market. There they were bought by the Europeans and were also shackled down to Asin Manso. From Asin, please, do not disturb. From Asin Manso, they brought the survivors and made to continue their journey to Cape Coast, a journey of no return. I humbly appeal to include this in the minutes. When you come out of follow people who slave camp, Salaga slave market, Asin Manso slave camp, even Polo in the Upper West region, they have a slave defense war. So the don't only go to a Cape Coast Castle. They will come up here and start the journey. And then by so doing, you will earn foreign exchange. It will be interesting to know our people in the diaspora have started taking DNA to find out where their forefathers came from. The results are alarming. Majority of them are from the north. Thank you. So please add that to your manifesto to the public. Thank you.
Short.
Per President, I would like to thank our brother, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. I am touched because in your submission of the 8 projects that you have brought, you have forgotten of one of the most important one, like the Soko project you brought to us in the Upper East, the 5 regions of the North. This project is so dear to us, and I think we recommend you for that very important project that you have brought to the 5 regions of the North. We hope you will do more for us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. President. Your Excellency, you are welcome. I'm Ketiu Paramount Chief. We all agree in life, health is much of important than any other thing. Actually, listen to whatever that goes on in your tour or your previous movement, whatever happened. But at times, what we say about certain things, I feel like it's not giving much credit as it's supposed to be. There's one important thing I've always seen, that it is as big and it is very huge, and it is saving our life than any of all these projects that we go around mentioning, including free SHS. Is the drone system. We don't always pay attention. At times, imagine a village like Ketiu, and we are short of drugs, and the drug is supposed to come from Accra or Tamale or where. Our road is also bad. You can imagine with this drone system what it has done for us. But we are all hailing free HSS. It's a good policy, but health is wealth. So, Your Excellency, in as much as we want our dam to be constructed, you already have a legacy by bringing the drone system. Thank you very much.
I am Nangodi. For want of in the house here, they say we can adjust ourselves according to our traditional areas. Yeah. We want to go for Juma. The president spoke, and he spoke about the security of this region. Same vice president said, and there is something that has been initiated in this region and in Nangodi, and I believe the way it is carved is possible. That is part of your idea as the vice president. But I just want to remind you that you will come to our aid and hasten up the development of the program, and that is the police, you call it HITROP, something, yeah. It's an abbreviation, and it is said they are building a peace and security center, and all that is about it. What I know is that this is a visibility of police and security, that we just stand at the threshold of where the insecurity is. That's Nangodi. Unfortunately for us, we are on the upper level. We are on the hills. So these police and security are there, so that people, bad boys in Bawku, who think they can misbehave, will see them and be tamed. The other thing is that we know that the Burkina Faso minister is around, and he has spoken about some insecurity around the borders, and we are just by the border. It is a point that people can easily enter, especially when you add it to the insecurity in Bawku. As most of us know, that these terrorists are just looking for an opportunity, a kind of shake-up, and they will capitalize on it, and they will be here. You have also mentioned here about the Nangodi gold belt. Once there is gold, they also would want to come and make use of it. So I just want to request from the Vice President to help the police authority. We call the man the Lion King, Nangodi Jata. And in fact, when you come and see this regional commander of police carrying stones, rocks, and climbing hills to build structures, you will love it. I just want you to come and support him.
Your Majesties, our guests are hard pressed for time, and we end this session. Then we want to go out quickly and then arrange to have a group photograph there. The Honorable MP for Binduri also donated to the House a mechanized borehole. So just at the place we will be taking the picture, we'll let the Vice President, His Excellency, cut the saw to commission the project for us. Thank you very much. Shall we be out?
Walga polo, wa polo, bizaha, biya yel na wonso, bizaha, bin yel ne kaman, biyore, biyobu ne tum shaban tum dema, palaka tum, biyobu ashiptin ka tum biyobu, bizaha mbazan le butra. Contractan kane kat biyorba, biyan to yelo shele katuma ma kan chantore. Eso, bisurlanya ndeba, ne popo contractan miraji tempunila. Never Zaha, never jump to my she. Sobalanshia, Biza jump to my she. Lala Hanyale, I mean, you are a contractor and ma, or I am a Nindaganda, Nindian work contract and more, Yam contract and more, Nindbamba Mama, can your Bizaha, the Mabazania let him be, Biza to the Latima Tirgana, Bizana to the two shot in my being until I'm funny. Yavali Yama Mission Yale, Umbagang the York Polo.
Timare, yada ne lala tumama nan na di yalia ni yendi komma yatwa de moksidina moksia tiba betam ti yendi water project ma to amana bin da bang pam yala ni ama ngumbe ku yoni aku kon ku yelsa deula to bizo kan da bore ntun zo bala Mohamed Amin anti yellow ne tin ada barkane tin to nyalla za shi shalon nyawo ba tina zin yale Ghana tin ko pile hal nuzumo
hire 1,000 special needs teachers in our schools so that they can provide assistance to persons with disability. I am very, very committed to that. The third question was on artisans. How are we going to help artisans? The most important thing that we have to do is to first make sure we can train skilled artisans. The training of artisans is very, very important, because if you don't have very, very good training, then the quality of work of the artisan will be poor. And that is why today you can see that even when people are building houses, they go and bring people from Togo to do tiling and to do POP and all of that. So we, first of all, to help the artisans, we have to train. And this is why I said before, we are investing so much in TVET education and providing free TVET. When the artisans are finished training, you need to support them with startup kits to help the artisans. And this is why we have brought in a program called the Biz Box under the Ghana Enterprise Agencies, where we are aiming to provide 125,000 businesses with startup kits when they finish their artisanal training, so that they can have access to these startup kits to go into work. And then, as I told you, the YEA is also supporting artisans to be able to have a lot of capital in terms of employment of people that they are going to support, and we will go there. So we are very, very keen on supporting artisans, and we have also launched the Ghana Apprenticeship Program, the GAP, which is also going to help people in terms of bringing apprentices, because artisans always get apprentices, and we are going to help artisans in that way to support them to look after apprentices.
Well, that was the Vice President and flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party. He just addressed the Regional House of Chiefs in Upper East. Now, before we move on to my colleague Samuel, who is still at the Upper East Regional House of Chiefs, I want us to take a look at some of the key points he made when he was addressing them. He did touch on the issue of security. He also mentioned the fact that 631 projects had been completed in the Upper East region. Now, he also mentioned that he wanted to upgrade the regional hospital. He also mentioned that he wanted to build an airport. It was an issue that had been mentioned by a member of the clergy when he actually addressed them this morning, and he mentioned it to the chiefs that it's something he wants to take seriously. He also touched on the fact that he has championed over 30 policies since he was elected into power, and he made mention of the mobile money interoperability that he's actually championed, the drone delivery system, from which he said for the one in Upper East they have 100 flights a day. He also said it's 100% manned by Ghanaians. These are key factors he's been carrying across almost all of his campaign. And he mentioned the Zongo Development Fund, the gold for oil. He also mentioned the fact that he wanted to leave a legacy. One key thing was to construct the Pualugu multi-purpose dam, which he believes would actually help when it comes to flooding or rainy season. He also help them with generating power from the hydro sign thing. So he also mentioned that he wants to bring the private sector when it comes to constructing the dam, because I mean the financial cost involved is something that is very draining on government. So he feels that if he's going to bring the private sector, that could actually help them. And he's already made mention that he wants the private sector, if elected into power, to take charge of all the infrastructure projects so that government will lease them. He also mentioned formalizing small-scale mining sector and agro-processing, where he wants to involve technology so that he could aid the farmers and then improve or increase their output when they yield. Let's go straight to the field where our colleague Samuel has been. Hello, Samuel. The Vice President did mention some of these key things, but can you give a report on what is happening on the ground? What can we not see?
All right, so Epifania, the Vice President and flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has just finished his engagement with the Upper East Regional House of Chiefs, and from here he has left the center just a short while ago, where he's going straight to the town, to the Bogotanga town, where he'll be engaging with the business community and do a bit of house-to-house engagement and campaign before he moves to the Youth Connect Center, where he'll be engaging the youth in the Bogotanga township. But if you look at what the engagement looked like with the Regional House of Chiefs, key among the issues, some of the chiefs requested for more police and security presence, especially in and around the Bawku enclave, for obvious reasons, because Bawku has become endangered due to the chieftaincy conflict within the area. They are also appealing for more security within the borders, because the Upper East region share border with Burkina Faso, and the one of the chiefs said that they are aware that terrorists are around the area, and because of the Bawku conflict, they can take advantage to enter into the region. So the Vice President should they should mob up the security and increase security presence within the region. So key among the issues are also the multi-purpose dam, the Bawku multi-purpose dam, which the Vice President make a solemn promise that he will make sure that he completes the project under his regime, because the project has stalled somewhere since 2020, hasn't seen major development or major work on it since it began somewhere around 2018. So the engagement was fruitful. Some of the community members who were present and party faithfuls who were present expressed their satisfaction with the Vice President engagement so far, from the clergy to the imams and now to the Upper East Regional House of Chiefs. They say that they see him as a man who can deliver development to the Upper East region. So as I mentioned, he has left the Upper East Regional House of Chiefs and he's going straight to the town to engage with the business community, and then move to the youth, where he'll be engaging with the youth at the Youth Connect meeting. Epiphania.
Okay, thank you so much, Samuel. We'll definitely bring you feedback from the Youth Connect. Thank you, Samuel. Now, coming back into the studio, before we went to take the Vice President's address to the Upper East. So Global Info Analytics released some documents. Actually, it was a research, and basically they were looking at how much influence religion is going to have on the 2024 election. So let's take a look at that. So you realize that, I mean, per the research, you realize that influence of religion in 2024 election. Now, how likely is the religion of the candidates going to influence, basically, I mean, your religion? How much influence is it going to have on the choice you make come December 7th? Well, for those that are likely, you can realize that beneath the January to April, and this was just this year, January to April 2024. That are likely, we had 24%, that was in January, but then in April it has dropped to 16%. In January it was 24% of the population. The sample that was used for this research said that it was likely that their religion was going to influence the choice they made come December 7th. But then in April it dropped from 24% to 16%. Now, for those that it was unlikely that religion was not going to play any role for them when it comes to selecting who they were going to give their vote to, in January it was 76%. Now, in April 2024, it has shot up to 84%. So you can tell that the dynamics are changing day in, day out. Things are happening and people are being informed by what they see, what they hear. So decisions are actually changing. Now these figures could actually even change because we're already in May. And between January to April, there was a change. So between now till December, these figures would actually drastically change. So you can never really tell. Now let's move on to look at the parliamentary report. So look at the party affiliation of respondents based on the constituencies. And we're taking Upper East because the Vice President is currently in the Upper East. So from Bolga Central to Boisla North to Zebila to Pusiga to Bawku Central, if you put all the figures together, you realize that for all of them, you have 49%. 49%, and the 49% is for those who are going to probably party affiliation, because based on NPP is going to have 49%. For NDC, it is 85%. For the floating voters, we actually have 58%. And for other parties, it's a total of 6%. For those that are not disclosed, that was 25%. Based on party affiliations, because I'm affiliated to this party, I'm actually going to go in favor of these people. And the respondents actually just gave these figures. For MPP, it was 49%, as you can see on your screen. For NDC, it was 85%. And for floating voters, it was 58%. And the other parties actually had 6%. And for those who did not disclose, it was actually 25%. Now moving on, if we look at the party affiliations of first-time voters, now let's also take note that EC is actually keen on ensuring that they can actually register and have over 60,000 first-time voters. So this is a very important thing. Looking at the first-time voters, you realize that for party affiliations, MPP has 22%, NDC has 25%. Floating voters, I don't know whether I'm going to vote for NDC, I don't know whether I'm going to vote for MPP, so they're just floating. They don't really know where they're going to go. That's a total of 26%. Now for a total of all the other parties, that's 4%. And those that have not disclosed, completely undisclosed, you have 23%. So between now to December 7, these figures can change. For the floating voters, take note, they could go to either parties. So that figure can drop, and either of the two key parties could increase. And for those that did not disclose, because it's undisclosed, you can't tell whether when the day comes, will they go to this party or will they go to that party. So these are key things that I want us to actually take note of. Now, let's take note of the fact that the sample size that was used for this research was basically 6,128 voters. Now, out of which were interviewed 5,928. So, in light of this, we actually want to go straight and speak to a political marketer. We have on the line with us Dr. Tutu Boahin. He is a political marketer. Hello, good afternoon, sir. Welcome to ABC News Ghana.
Yeah, good afternoon.
So do you consider it as a very strategic point, given the proposition that the flag bearer makes when he meets with the traditional authorities and the churches?
All right, so good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to viewers and listeners as well. I think that the campaign of the Vice President is on course. And from where I sit, I see him doing a kind of campaign targeting, opinion leaders and institutions that matter, in Ghana. I think that it is one strategic campaign direction that will give him a lot of leverage. I think that if he is able to continue in this direction and is able to strengthen the kind of strategy he's implementing, it would, as it were, propagate his vision and mission and direction for Ghana. And that is what is going to, help him, to, as it were, get whatever he has set his eyes on, to become the president of Ghana.
Yes, sir. Now, we had a recent submission of his that actually attracted a huge public backlash, but he has come to clarify and said it was taken out of context. Quote unquote, he said it was a joke. Now, how likely are such blunders going to affect the campaign? How dearly are they bound to pay for this?
I think this has to do with, the two sides of the coin, the positive and the negative, the head and the tail. And what I believe is that, yes, from his explanation, to his critics, obviously he said that if you look at the work that the church, and for that matter, the religious sects appears to be doing in their contribution to national development and growth, it is something that should be commended, and it is something that should be rewarded. Given the background that Ghana is coming from, and the fact that Ghana is not able to complement the effort of the church and religious institutions to support them in terms of how they are able to bring about national development or to support government in national development. From him, it was good that probably government or future government will find a way, to be able to work in partnership with religious leaders and the church, or how do we call it, religious leaders, yes. But if government is not in the position to do that, then of course it is a problem. I share in that explanation, typically because, when you look at what these churches have done, even when you begin to look at the number of universities that what we refer to in Ghanaian parlance as individual one-man churches, come to talk of ICGC, come to talk of Perez, another churches that have built universities across the country, and how they are supporting higher education in this country. Obviously, you would want to understand where the vice president is coming from. One thing with these private universities or religious universities is the fact that they tend to pay high taxes, all right? And these are things that sometimes affect, their ability, to pay salaries and all that. So I remember somewhere in 2016, 2017, thereabout. Yeah, 2016. The vice president was of the view, and I'm saying this in compliment to what he said, was of the view that private universities should be given certain allowances in terms of tax rebates and all that, or tax holidays. And if these things are given, it gives private universities, the capacity to be able to expand and be able to also pay salaries and all that. But if you are leaving them, then of course their inflows are limited, and they cannot do what they need to do. Aside universities, look at the number of secondary schools that
Okay, so as I was saying earlier, we'll definitely get Dr. Bernard Tutu Boahin back on the line. But earlier, as I was mentioning, based on the demographics and then the infographics that was released by Info Global Analytics. Now, I mentioned that out of the figures that were used, we had 6,128 voters, and out of which were interviewed 5,928. Also, they responded to the questions. Now, the confidence level of this report, which we just brought you, was 99%, with a margin of error of just 1.66%. Also, the Electoral Commission, they used the Electoral Commission's 2023 voters register as their sample frame, and 30% of constituencies from each region was randomly selected and allocated the regional quota based on the total voters in each of the selected constituencies. So if you're looking on the screen. It says, what are some of the reasons for choice of candidates and who voters generally trust? So if you want to look at why is somebody going to trust this candidate, or why will somebody go and cast their votes for the person? The first thing taking the highest there is competence, and competence is 67%. Now the next thing is a better manager of the economy, a better manager of the economy. And this, I mean, we all have to agree with, is very important. Everybody is looking out for somebody who can manage the economy, somebody who can give them the needed results, somebody who can change how the state of the economy currently is. Now next on it, somebody who can fight corruption, and corruption is very key. People are really keen on getting corruption out of the system, so that's something that also informs the decision for people, and that's at 49%. 49%. That's at 49%. Okay, so doctor, we have Dr. Tutuboahim back on the line. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You're making a point as to he making the blunder of it was a joke.
Yeah, so as I was saying, from his perspective, I think that, he meant everything good about it. Secondly, I feel that, look, it is good that probably he has come back to make a clarification on what he said. Going forward, I think that, yes, some of these things should be well analyzed. I mean, the speech that the vice president puts out there, the handlers, his communication handlers and strategists, should be able to, as it were, coach him, guide him into certain directions, so that he wouldn't put any, message out there that, probably you may need to come back again, to make a clarification. I also believe that, the vice president should, as it were, take into consideration the fact that anytime that he stands to speak, his critics are listening and watching at the same time. There are people who may want to find fault with his statement, and therefore it is very instructive, something he cannot, bargain for, that at every point in time he needs to conceptualize, analyze his speech before going out there to go and talk. Things that would attract a lot of, public ridicule and all that. You should try as much as possible to avoid it. Number two, I feel that, and this one I'm speaking in relation to, the nursing training issue, allowance issues. Yeah. And I feel that, yes, he needs also to get his facts, right. With communication, your audience matter. So you must do a thorough research about your audience. The likely questions they are likely to push you, and what their concerns are, what their problems are. Normally, these are the areas that they may want to ask questions from. So before you meet such, people, you should be able to, do thorough research, come up with facts, even if it is a promise that you're going to make. That promise should be very much relevant to their needs and problems, and so that you do not commit certain mistakes that probably will require that you must go back and clarify. It is good you go back to defend yourself, clarify issues and all that, but in politics it is not like relationship talks. It is not like talking to your friend, talking to your mother, where probably you make a statement and you have the opportunity of going back to amend that statement. In politics, the moment a message drops, people take it as it is. People take it and analyze it to the best of their understanding. And when such issues begin to crop up, then issues of image, credibility, and all that will begin to come in. And that is where, if you are not careful, you will suffer for some of these things. So, for me, it will probably not may not be the fault of the vice president, but the fault of the communication team following him. I think that they need to sit up. I think that they need to do thorough job, and I think that they should be in the capacity to handle, the vice president and his communication very well, very, very well, because the man has entrusted them with duties and responsibilities, and they should be able to deliver. Okay, they should be able to deliver. Look at the runs he's making. Look at the number of hours he's standing on his feet. The tiredness and all. So if you are responsible for research to come up with facts, educate him, brief him on certain things, and you are not doing it, for the man to go and make mistakes, I'm sorry, I think that this one, they need to be careful about it.
Okay, so now he's currently in the Upper East region, and out of the 5 regions up north, we know that 3 are not the stronghold of the NPP, and this happens to be the first time that we're rather in a key contender with another who is also from a region up north. One thing I want to find out, what does the dynamic look like?
I think that people have said that the regions up north, are going to become battlegrounds. But you see, politics, has become scientific, and it is growing scientifically. For me, I wouldn't agree that the North will be a battleground. With regards to certain regions where, those places are not the stronghold of the NPP. For politics, it is about numbers, and it is about appreciating in numbers. So, if he is able to push, the campaign team is able to push and do diligent job up there, and he's able to add up to the vote count. That is the most important thing. I believe that, you see, when we check Dr. Bawumia's record up north in terms of, vote appreciation and the support he's receiving up north from 2008 elections, when he actually stood on the vice presidential ticket of the NPP. The northern regions have never remained the same. I mean, you could see that the NPP keep appreciating and appreciating and appreciating. And I feel that, yes, it is all about hard work, and it is all about strategy, it is about determination, and putting up strategic and tactical plans, to, as it were, increase the numbers, taking advantage of certain opportunities and increasing numbers. So they should probably have their minds on some of these things. If the records are right, the records that I have are right, then there is no clear-cut differences in terms of, the share of votes between NPP and the opposition NDC. I think they are equal in terms of constituencies shared in Parliament. And I feel that, yes, for 2024, the election is going to be strong. It is going to be a close contest. But hey, the party or the candidate with superior strategy, will always come up tops. So the North is there for grabs, yes. Looking at the trend of issues, you cannot just say that this is someone's stronghold and that is another person's stronghold. The most important thing is the strategy that you put in place and how you are able to work those strategies, to achieve results.
That's true. Now, he has not yet officially unveiled his running mates. Now, do you believe, is this a strategy, or do you believe that he's probably holding on for the right time? And how key do you think this is in the success of his campaign?
Yeah, you see, with regards to the success of his campaign, I think that the vice president is on course. I mean, obviously, when you check the rate at which he's moving, with his team, with his campaign team, he's doing marvelous. And I feel that if or without the vice or the running mate, he is still making it. Now, I think that it is a right call on him to name, his running mate. But I also don't feel that, people within the party, the rank and file of the party, should, put so much pressure, on the vice president to name his running mate. In the Constitution of Ghana, yes, it is a requirement that, the presidential candidate, has a vice president or a running mate. But it is also not compulsory, to tie him to a specific time, that he has to also name his running mate. I feel that he knows best. His campaign team is behind him. For reasons best known to them, probably they may want to take their time to come up with the best, candidate. But you see, for those of us who are, into political marketing research and all that, this is what personally I believe, that you don't just select a vice president or a running mate. You select a running mate who fits into your campaign, a running mate who would also fit into your governance system and vision, a running mate who probably understands you and knows you better in and out as a president. And at any other day, whatever problem that there is with regards to your limitations, your strength and all that, that running mate understands you. Most importantly, the person should be someone like more of a friend, because in governance you are partners, all right? And so it is very important that the two of you understand each other, you have that kind of relationship, and at any point in time, you trust each other, you are honest with each other, you are committed to the cause of or to the success of one another and all that. Now, anything short of this, could spell some level of calamity, in government. And so I believe that Dr. Bawumia is a man of himself, because you cannot probably, educate yourself to this high level, have that kind of political experiences and industry experiences and all that, and you begin to take decisions anyhow. No, I believe that, yes, he knows what he's about. He probably is considering a lot of things, for him to come up with a running mate that he can defend any day, any time, and will not regret choosing that particular, candidate.
Well, I believe that most people are actually wondering what region his running race is going to come from, because currently, it's no longer going to be about religion, but probably it's going to be more about region that the running mate is going to be coming from.
Yes, of course, you see, people have put in certain arguments about the fact that, Dr. Bawumia should choose somebody from Greater Accra. Others are calling on him to choose from Asante region and all that. People are calling him to choose a female, running mate for various reasons. For me, and from where I stand, I still maintain my position that the man is a man of himself. He's matured enough politically, to take decisions that will not benefit him alone, but will benefit his party and the entire, country when it comes to governance issues. As I've indicated earlier, you see, from a political marketing point of view, there are a lot of calculations or scientific calculations that must go into the choice of who your running mate is. And when you look at the various, arguments from lobbyists, party members, and all the things that they are saying, people are being sentimental, they are defending their interest and all that. I feel that, yes, if you are talking about regional choices, it is very important, but it is about putting your best foot forward. What I mean by putting your best foot forward, is that, you see, when you look at the electoral, history of Ghana between NDC and NPP, what we refer to as, core constituencies, core regions, and all that. NPP traditionally can claim Ashanti region, Eastern region, Central region, because these are regions that have over the years, voted in favor of the NPP. I think that Western region, yes, not Western North, Western region itself, has also contributed. And if you are talking about where to choose, it has to do with, number one, which of these regions will give you so much of votes, And yes, people believe that the vice president should choose from Ashanti region because Ashanti region, gives NPP so much votes. Number two, people believe that, you should choose somebody with an Akan background because, there has always been this issue about Akan, the NPP Akan, and then the NPP, Northern region, combinations. And that is what, has been the story since, President Kufuor's time, that is 2000, thereabout, where President Kufuor brought in the late Ali Mama from the Dagomba land and the Muslim, to balance his tickets. And then Nana Akufo-Addo also brought in Dr. Bawumia, also from the North and the Muslim. So there's this issue about regional and religious, balance from the camp of the NPP. So now that the flag bearer ticket has gone to a North and a Muslim, then what is obvious is that then the running mate of Dr. Bawumia, should become an Akan and possibly, a Christian. So the dynamics in there. Now, my question, with regards to these suggestions, is that is it about the picks or is it about the numbers that that person can bring in order to complement the ticket of the presidential candidate? All right. So what I'm trying to say is that you cannot just pick a candidate from an Akan community and that person is relatively unknown. You cannot bring in a candidate from, let's say, Ashanti region who will not get the support of the Ashantis. All right. So these calculations should be tight. It should be done well. These calculations, should not just be a DEX type of calculation, but it should be scientific. It should be backed by data. All right. So that you know what the data is telling you, and based on that, you can make a decision. So the mere call that go to Ashanti region, the mere call that go and pick a woman running mate, for me, it is a non-starter. It is a non-starter, and more needs to be done, to come up with a more convincing, argument, that would probably, inform the campaign team to make the right decision, but not just, that kind of rhetoric where, people believe that do A because of B, do C because of D. I mean, it doesn't really work like that.
Well, last year, the Supreme Court actually ruled that it is unconstitutional for chiefs to actively participate in politics. But in his engagement last year, so we had the Speaker of Parliament also encourage chiefs to be active when it comes to politics. Now, where do we draw the fine line so that we don't seem to encourage chiefs to actively endorse or support a candidate? Now, take note also that the Vice President, as part of his campaign tour, actually, anytime he goes into a region, he makes time to meet with the Regional House of Chiefs.
I mean, it is only traditional But any visitor who goes into a community, for the first time should visit the chief's palace to introduce him or herself, so that the chief would also announce to the community that so and so people have come. And once they are aware, it means that your security, your welfare, is in their hands. They become responsible to your security and all that. So these are traditional things that we cannot lose sight of. It also shows your respect and the kind of person you are, the kind of culture you are coming from, and how you have been raised. And we cannot throw away our tradition as people from Ghana. From a constitutional point of view, I think that, the framers of our constitution, I don't actually know what prompted that clause that chiefs should not go into politics. But you see, whether we like it or not, over the years, that constitutional part which put limits on chiefs, banning them from politics, active politics, has not been managed, and we see chiefs occupying certain political positions. We have seen chiefs making blanket statements, supporting candidate A, candidate B, and all that. And what has the courts, done to such people? For me, politics is just like support for football team. Sometimes you can't even hide your emotions and all that. So I feel that yes, chief, it is within our constitution, but the enforcement has also not reflected, what is supposed to be done. So if it happened in a particular era, it will also happen in another era. And so for me, it is not something that we need to probably worry our heads about. I have seen or I've heard chiefs, declaring publicly their support for certain candidates, and then the indigents, of the town or the community have come to question the authority of the chief, to make such declarations on their behalf. You see, so it means that politically, you can make a declaration, but is it the question that your people will follow you? No. And it is because, you see, politics is about fighting for your rights. And voters have become so individualistic in terms of their thinking, in terms of their decisions, that at this point, a chief cannot, the endorsement of chiefs, for political candidates will not really hold water. It doesn't. So I believe that the framers of the constitution and what they actually thought would be the case, it's actually not the case in this era. So what it means is that probably framers thought that when chiefs declare, certain candidates will have undue advantage. But we have also seen that such declarations sometimes put, candidates in the negative perspectives, and that becomes trouble for them. So yes, I've seen a research, an NBA thesis where the findings indicated that celebrity endorsement, opinion leader endorsement does not really matter when it comes to voting decisions.
Okay, so finally, before I let you go, I want to find out, I mean, what key role do you think that the religious tolerance we have in this country has actually played when it comes to politics of the country? Take, for example, the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, who is currently actually addressing the clergy in almost every region he steps in.
I think that is what makes Ghana unique. All right, and to have such tolerance levels, in our body politics. Elsewhere, Muslims and Christians, cannot sit together on a table and eat. But, in Ghana, you go to functions and you see Muslims and Christians sitting together to eat. And I think that it is because of, one of the legacies that was given to us by Dr. Nkrumah, the boarding house systems, the school systems that we have, where from infancy you sit together with other people with other religious faith, to mingle, play, eat, sleep, and do things together. So I think that it is something that we should keep, and it will help us. Politically, it is one of the things that is distinctive, to us as Ghanaians. You can't find it in any, other, country, like when you go to the Arabs, Arabian countries and all that. Christians are separate, even in Egypt, and Muslims are also separate. But for us, we are one people, and there is only one nation that we have with a common destiny. So these are the three things that I think that we should be careful of. Keep it, irrespective of our political divides, and then we move on as a country. And once we are able to do that, and we are able to find very good gaps in them, I think that we will move forward. And I think that it is something that Dr. Bawumia, should also strengthen from the way he is doing. Obviously, it is meant to strengthen, the bond between Christians, Muslims, and other, religious faiths. And if he's lucky to be voted to power, I think that we should move a step further, to uphold, these three things that we have: one people, one nation, one destiny.
Thank you so much for your time. Well, that was Dr. Bernard Tutubuahi. He happens to be a political marketer and lecturer. You're watching ABC News Ghana. We'll be right back so that we take a look at the regional performances from 2016 to 2020. Well, ever since the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party took his campaign tour to the 5 regions up north, we've been giving you the regional performance so far. We've been looking at the election results from 2016 to 2020 and how much impact this is going to have on the December polls come 2024. Let's take a look at them. Today we'll be focusing on the Savannah region. So as you can see, for the presidential election results for the Savannah region. In 2016, NPP had 55,485 votes. That was 33.4%. And NDC had 106,256 votes, giving them 64.0%. But moving to 2020, NPP actually gained. They moved from 55,485 votes to 80,605 votes. And that put them from 33.4% to 35.2%. They gained 1.8%. Now for NDC, they lost from 106,256 votes to 144,244 votes, and that was in 2020, and that put them at 63.0%. So I mean, there was a margin gain. NPP gained 1.8%. NDC actually lost 1.0%. Now looking at the graph, you realize that the performance trend here for the Savannah region from 1996 to 2020. So in 1996, NPP had 29.6% and NDC had 67%. But in 2000, NPP moved from 29.6% to 31%, and then NDC had 57.4%. Now I want us to actually look at the trend of the NPP, which is the blue line. So you realize that in 2000 they were 31%, but in 2004 they moved to 33.8%, and in 2008 they moved to 39.5%. Coming down in 2012, they dropped from 39 to 34.5%, and then it also dropped further in 2016 from 34.5% to 33.4%, and in 2020 it moved up from 33.4% to 35.2%. So gradually they're trying to close the gap. But when you look at the NDC trend, they started 1996 from 67%. Now, don't forget 1996 because we're actually transitioning from the military rule to PNDC. So, I mean, giving NDC the upper hand in the sense that PNDC rule and the whole democratic rule was actually brought by them, and PNDC then was being led by Rawlings, Flag Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings. So it actually gave them the upper hand over there. So they moved from 1996, 67% to 57.4% in 2000. Now in 2004 they shot up back to 60.8%, and then they dropped in 2008 to 56.7%. Now it shot back up again to 63%, and then they went up again in 2016 to 64%, but then they actually dropped in 2020, which was just the last election we had, to 63%. So this tells you that NPP is gradually closing the gap. They're actually gaining as much as, yes, 3 out of the 5 regions up north are not NPP strongholds, but then they are gaining a strong foot. And looking at the campaign strategy employed by the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, you realize that if you watch all the videos that we've been showing you, his welcome, his engagement, there seems to be that enthusiasm, that love, that joy that people are actually having. And you're realizing things are not going to remain the same for NDC, but these figures could actually change come December 7th. Do stay with us, we'll bring you more. Okay, so let's look at what the rest of the day is going to be like for the flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party. Now, earlier today, he met with the clergy at the XT Crystal Hotel Annex, but he was supposed to meet with the imams, but he actually switched. He went to meet, he addressed the Regional House of Chiefs, the Upper East Regional House of Chiefs. So currently, he's actually having his Juma prayers, and I'm sure after that, he's going to meet with the imams. After that, he's going to pay a visit to the EC office in Bolgatanga. He's also going to meet with small-scale miners. Don't forget, he's been pushing a message on how he wants to formalize the small-scale mining sector. So there's actually a key important thing for him. He would also later be interacting with the youth at the Youth Connect Town Hall meeting, which has become a platform for him to be able to engage the youth and provide them with youth-related solutions. And that is where he mainly pushes his digitalization agenda. We'll bring you details on all this, but later we're bringing you coverage straight from the Youth Connect Town Hall meeting. Do stay with us.